Dive canceling on Lily Leapers, sprint jumping while on stomping grounds, all the techniques and more will be covered. Lost Temple. Season 6.5 patched out the dive door strat, which if done correctly could thrust you forwards. However, now you don't trip whenever you hit the divot or the edge of the door. Letting other people go and test out doors is the key to winning on this map. But never be too far back, otherwise you'll be behind and could lose. Rooms will split into two paths. The second path will eventually connect to the first path. So if you found the second path, which the second path is often found on the edge rooms, such as this one right here, just know that you will connect back to the first path eventually. Sometimes it'll be instantly, and sometimes you'll have to go on a long journey. And once you get used to that fact, you can then predict where the next door will be. While door patterns can change, here's what I found for some of my games. What I found is that the game will sometimes take you on a long path rather than a short path. So sometimes you'll have to cut through the middle even though you're the edge rooms. They made it so it's more RNG and not as straightforward. If you get a middle door on the first row, the next door on the second row will be a middle door too. And when you reach the second last row, from what I found is that the path will take you to the middle most of the time. So if you're on an edge room, the door to the left or right could be the correct one, and that you'll always connect back to the last room before the crown. Right when you're about to reach the crown room, jump on the first pad and then dive when you're about to reach the big pad. Or if you're feeling risky, you can try double diving. Right when you're about to reach the end of the conveyor belt, dive. Dive on the small lily pad and then dive cancel onto the big lily pad. I personally recommend you jump on the small pad and then dive onto the big pad for the middle ground of speed and technique. TREETOP tumble. You can tell which the direction this disc is going to be spinning just by looking at the bottom arrow. So if the arrow is pointed to the right, it's going to spin right no matter the variant. Well, unless you get the lily pads, then just jump dive and then immediately dive onto the next one to get to the pad fast. When you get on the first disc, run along it and gain some momentum, and then jump dive onto the third disc, skipping the middle disc entirely. And right when you reach the lily pad section, jump and then dive. And right when your character has hit a pad, dive to cancel the animation of you floating in midair. This is called dive canceling. And once you reach this section with a slide, jump on the slide and make your way to this section. You'll want to jump down and dive right when you're about to hit this pad. And while in midair, dive cancel your way to the last pad and aim your character to the extreme left. You should almost hit the fencing. Sprint jump or run while jumping to avoid the rhinos. And right when you're about to reach the fan, jump on top of the fan, and right when you hit the fan blades, jump, and instead of floating up, you'll be boosted up and you should hear a thud sound. The fastest way to do this section, but the hardest way, is to dive underneath the king frog. You jump onto the pad and then immediately dive or perform a dive cancel, and if you did it correctly, you'll go right to the other side. However, let's explore how you can speedrun by using the bottom path. Try following the flow of the hammers. Better if the hammers hit you forwards rather than backwards. Also, try to get some distance away from the hammer if possible. It's hard, but it's doable. Just follow in which direction the hammer is moving towards rather than try to resist it. And as with the section right here, get on this particular ring and try to make your way to the middle ring, and then wait for the frog in front of you to go back down and then make your way forwards. It's all about making it to the middle ring. Once you understand the pattern, you'll know how to do this section easily. The best side to be when you reach the donut section is the right side. So make your way to the right. Let the donuts push you forwards, but only if the outer ring is going clockwise. But otherwise, try to go to the right side anyways. Drop down, dive cancel, go up this fan, and dive under the big green frog. Little Leapers, aka dive canceling the map. The best place to be is in the extreme sides. The right to left side is fine, it doesn't matter all that much. Jump onto the first pad and then dive. And make sure you dive cancel on the second pad and then the third pad. This is the fastest way to traverse this section. Make your way to the side platforms. Once you've reached this section, dive in all three pads and then dive your way through this platform section. And now this section is a bit tricky. Dive onto this big pad and dive right when you're about to reach the floor pad. And then if you did it correctly, you should skip the middle floating pad. This is tricky, so don't worry about it too much. In my last video, I mentioned you can dive onto the middle pad directly. Well, you can't. They patched it so it's impossible to do it as of 6.5. If you do, however, get the hard mode variant of Little Leapers, the third section is now this instead of how it used to be. Here's how to do it. Jump dive onto the floor pad, and when you reach this pad, hit it but don't die. Rather, just move your character to the next pad and you should reach the top easily. The key is to not do anything but move your character to the next pad in line. And if you get the 6 floating pad section towards the end, here's how to do it. Wait for the first 4 pads to join together or to almost touch one another, and then jump dive and make your way to the closest of the 2 pads, and then jump dive onto them. It seems easy to say, but once you get the hang of it and understand that waiting for the 4 pads to meet is the key to passing the section easily, you'll be able to do it on the first try. If you do, however, get the regular side to side pads instead, jump dive onto the floor pad and then dive onto the first pad to the right. And when you hit the pad, aim your character to this pad and dive again. It's all about diving fast. Actually, this map is all about diving fast. Master dive canceling and this map will be your best friend. Stomping grounds. During season 6, the runners have been changed to be far more aggressive than when I made my guide, but the tips in that video still hold well. Pan your camera constantly so that you are aware of your surroundings. Map awareness is critical to surviving on this map. Stay away from groups of people. The rhinos are attracted to large hordes of people, and sprint, jump, or jump while running to get ahead faster. And also the rhinos will be less likely to hit you since you're not in one spot constantly. Try to be on the other side of the map for the rhinos, but do be careful of their dash. The more momentum the rhino has, the further it can hit you. So if a rhino hits you with a dash attack but you're close to the rhino, it won't hit you as far. But if the rhino hits you with a dash attack but you are really far away from it, that is a guaranteed knockout. But still, try to avoid the rhino's dash attack by diving away from it. Following the tail of a rhino is a risky play, but if you keep enough distance and keep an eye out for a potential rhino sneak attack, you should be fine. If you get the variant with the disc, this map is so easy. Just stay on the disc and just keep spinning. This can change though, but hanging out on the disc, the rhino really can't hit you that far since you're so close to it. Use the lily path to stay in the air and dive over a potential rhino. Some fruit. There are 3 waves in this map. Each wave will increase by 1 fruit. So wave 1 will have 2 fruits, so a 50-50 chance. The second wave is 3 fruits, so a 33% chance. Why 33? 33 times 3 is 99%. And the third wave with 4 fruits and a 25% chance. A technique I use often is singing. Singing is the best way to memorize something, but you can just say the fruits out loud or the colors out loud. The other items that aren't fruits are there to distract you. They don't count or will be on the screen, so ignore them. Remember to pan your camera and go to the other side. You may miss a fruit, so check every corner. Bubble trouble. The biggest tip I can give you in this map is to not fight a losing battle. If you're in a zone and can't seem to get a bubble or that everyone is already there before you, do one of 2 things. Go back to the disc and wait for a new zone to pop up, or go to a zone that isn't really populated. Even though it may be a zone that you struggle with, getting 3 or 2 bubbles is plenty enough. Get 3 or 4 bubbles or however many bubbles you can get and then move on to another zone. You don't have to get all of your bubbles in one zone. Just go to a zone, get a couple, move on. To get the golden bubble on the fan section, get on the fan and then jump when you touch the fan blades. You should be straight thrusted in the air, making it easy to get the gold bubble. For the bridge and frog section, jump on the head of the frog while it's small, then right when it's about to puff up, jump, and you should be able to get it with ease. The disc with the spinning bar is quite easy to traverse once you figure out that you have to be on the edges of the disc and jump a second before the bar gets to you. Just do a couple laps around the disc with a bar and you'll figure out the timing easily. My bubble trouble guide will show you how to get all the golden bubbles. PEGWIN pool party. I always take the left side and go down the bridge by bunny hopping or bee hopping. You bee hop by jumping, and while in midair, keep mashing your jump button and keep mashing until you land down. Bee hopping is so advantageous when going down slopes and downward facing ramps. If you're close to the slide, you can take that too, but I prefer going down the slope even if I'm far away from it. That allows me time to scope out the area and see if I can find a penguin that's by itself rather than trying to steal from someone. If you can't find a penguin by itself on the bottom floor, I recommend you go up and see if you can find a penguin that's alone. You can sometimes find penguins next to the slides since that's where people stand and drop the penguins when they're done. By the way, the penguins can run up the slide, so be wary of that. If you have someone chasing you, try turning around and jumping over them or using the obstacles around you to juke them. You could even try dropping the penguin for a brief second and picking it up again. Learning to be patient will help you go a long way to qualify on this map. Thanks for 1,079 subscribers.